Okay. So what would I suggest that they change with it? Well, for a start, I think I would tell them to hire more staff. Because the development process for this game, bearing in mind it's been out for 2 years now, it's not, well, it's about halfway, I'd say, to being, what it's supposed to be offering. For example, there's no naval units in this game at the moment. The Japanese and the British don't have tanks. Naval units, obviously, yeah, is a big one. I would probably suggest that they concentrate less on the premium content and more on the actual in-game content that is, normally purchased. Fixing all of that, I'd get them to change a lot of the stuff that they've got wrong. For example, that aircraft. That's just one example. There's plenty of others. I'm not going to go through them now. I'd get the matchmaker changed. My suggestion for the change in the matchmaker is on their forums. It's kind of on hold at the moment because I sent a message to Lasar, who's one of the developers, and I've asked him for some questions. He's not replied back, so I can't really do much more with it at the moment. So the matchmaker, yeah, that definitely needs to get changed big time. And with my suggestion for the matchmaker change would be a massive change in the way that the game actually works as far as ground forces goes, I think. Possibly even for aircraft as well. But it would be whether or not, Gaijin would accept it. Yeah, what else would there be? Yeah, there's just so much really. I mean, for example, any aircraft or any vehicle in game, what I think that they should do is once you've upgraded everything, then you can put 4 decals on. There should be none of this, grinding stuff that you get like on premiums, where you have to earn the mark of distinction. Yeah, for premiums that's fine, but I think that all the aircraft should have that as well. So once you've researched everything, you either have to research another little bit for, the mark of distinction, if you want to call it that, or they should get it for free. Let's see, another thing that I would do, or at least suggest, would be that all top tier vehicles, and when I say top tier, I don't mean the ones that you get up here, like at Battering 6.7 or 6.3 or, that kind of thing. I'm on about the ones at the very bottom, the ones at battle rate 9. Those vehicles, when you get them, they should be fully upgraded. None of this grinding bullshit. Because you should be getting rewarded for farming and grinding all the way through to the last one, rather than being punished, which is this current situation in this game. A lot of the things in this game, you get punished for example, if I go into battle now, with the Americans, or whatever nation, doesn't really matter, go into battle, and get into battle, and then get team killed within the first minute. When I come back to the garage, all of my crew will be locked out, or at least most of them. Even though I've been team killed by some idiot, or by accident, doesn't have to be, on purpose, but most of the time it is. Yeah, I get punished because some other idiot has, pressed their mouse button, basically. And that needs to go. What else would I change? I mean, to be honest, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, really. There's plenty of stuff. Disconnects as well, yeah. If you get disconnected from the game, or even like on the loading screen. Say, for example, I'm going to a battle, and it's on the loading screen, and then it comes up, connection to server lost. And then I reconnect to the game, all of my crew will be locked out because I've disconnected from the game. That is nothing to do with me, that's to do with, either the internet or Gaijin servers, but you get punished for it. One main thing I think would be that I would standardise the repair costs across the board. So you wouldn't have this bullshit where P51 D5 costs 10,000 lines to repair, compared to hang on a sec, let's have a look. Perfect example, I suppose, would be J2M2 or J2M3. There we go, 45,000 lines to repair, and that isn't even fully upgraded. So why is that's point 0.3 battle rate higher than the normal Mustang, and yet it's 4 times the cost as far as repairs go. More than 4 times the cost, and that's fully upgraded, by the way. 100%. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, never mind. But it's very close to being fully upgraded even. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff as well. Obviously, vehicles that they need to put into game. There's crap loads of those. Yeah, I mean, it's where to stop. Basically, I think the main crux of it would be they need to listen to the player base more. If they don't stop listening to the player base, this game is just not going to improve. Well, it's not going to improve, but it's also not going to grow. I mean, look, 52,870 people playing at the moment, and it's 3:50 p.m. On a Thursday, and it's summer holidays, so all of the kids are off school at the moment. 52,000 players online, considering that, is crap. I have to point that out big time. I've done this more than once. Pointed to the fact that there's not many players playing this game. There's a lot of reasons why that is. One of the main one is the matchmaker, which is shit. The matchmaker has been needing to be replaced since it was put in. The original 20 tier system was much better in my opinion. Why they changed it is basically to increase the grind. That's the reason. Pure and simple. If I was playing this without premium, I would probably be still back up here as far as the Germans go. I might have maybe just researched them more recently. But yeah, without premium you would really struggle to get anywhere in this game, especially past tier 3 for ground forces or aircraft as well. There's basically there's other elements as well that I think that they need to either tweak or remove entirely. Things like for example Asian crews. Let me just go to the actual crew selection bit. There we go. So yeah, this crew is experted, which for an aircrew doesn't really make that much difference in certain respects. It's only slight differences between well, from like a 0 stat to a 100 stat as far as vitality goes, for example. Visibility, that's quite an important one, and G tolerance is relatively important, I suppose. That ground maintenance is incredibly important. I can't stress that enough. Reload speed and repair speed, not so much. Repair rank is another important one. But by the way, going back to what I was saying, so this crew's experted. So it gets like plus 30 there, plus 30 there, plus 30 there, plus 30 there, and plus 30 there, and plus 30 there. Now, with that, that's basically by paying lines to improve the crew, like kind of make them used to the vehicle, I suppose, if you want to call it that. They call it qualification in this game, and there's 3 stages to it. You've got the basic qualification, which doesn't give you any bonus, expert, which gives you the plus 30s, and then you've also got an additional one called ace, which is there, which adds an additional plus 20 to the vehicle's or the crew stats, and that is basically a pay to win feature, because you can only pay for that with golden eagles. There you go. You see all of those vehicles, well, all of these vehicles I've not exported the crew on, because I don't, I really do hate that little feature that they've put in, and plus I don't want to spend money on that kind of little bullshit. I mean, it's not so bad for aircraft, I suppose, with regards to what stats it affects. It's not major league importance, and it won't really sway the tide of a battle. But when it comes down to ground forces, this is where it becomes a little bit more interesting, or a bit more problematic, I suppose. If I just switch back over to the Tiger, and I'll show you what I mean. Because the plus 30s for ground forces go on specific skills. So you've got field repair, driving, field repair, targeting and range finding, field repair, leadership and machine gunnery, field repair and weapon reloading. That's the one that you should be looking at. And also, yes, some more for the radio operator, which again aren't that important. But as with aircraft, you can also do the same thing with tanks as well, and that's you can expert the crew. and as you can see, it's not exactly cheap. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be that bad, but it affects certain stats, and that is one of them, weapon reloading, which basically means that if you pay money into the game and expert your ace your crew, you will have an advantage over someone else who doesn't have that, because you will reload slightly quicker. You get an additional plus 20 onto that skill, which would basically equate, well, I'd say another 20% off the reload time. So that's just a guess, by the way. I wouldn't take that as written. But yeah, so that is basically, it's a pay-to-win feature, and it's an annoying one. It's that needs to go, in my opinion, or at least make it so that you can buy the ace qualification for Silver Lions. They need to lose the pay-to-win features of this game. Amongst other things as well, you know, they should be doing proper flight model testing for all of the aircraft they release into the game before they put them in, and if they notice any anomalies, they should be, you know, fixing them as soon as possible, rather than doing what they are doing, which is just throwing them into game with placeholder flight models that don't really make that much difference to the actual performance of the aircraft. So, you know, for example, that VK-107, I'm not going to take it out now, and really, yeah, it's typical of Gaijin. I mean, most of the Russian aircraft, in my opinion, have very suspect flight models, especially when it comes down to the Yaks. I mean, I know that especially, I think it was the Yak 3 was a particularly good fighter. I'm not on about the Yak 3P, I'm on about that one, the Yak 3. But what they appear to have done is basically copied that flight model and put it onto almost all of the other Yak versions of the aircraft, which shouldn't be the case. The earlier Yaks weren't anywhere near as capable as that. Anyway, enough of my little rant or tirade. I'll leave that for the time being, and hopefully that's answered some of your questions, at least anyway.